extra minutes.
Sailing should be in my blood, yet the greatest frights I've ever had in my life have been on the ocean. Small boat in the Sydney Hobart, a boat too small, I think, for where we were and the storm we were in. And I thought it was the most frightening and horrendous thing. In fact, after a little while, though, I learned that in a terrible storm at sea, you can only be afraid for a limited period of time. You don't become a hero, but you become too exhausted to be scared anymore. I imagine that that's what it was like for the crew of the Bounty when they sailed into the eye of Cyclone Sandy.
We were all working too hard to be afraid. We were doing what we had to do.
Is it true that there's a moment when a skipper talks to the crew and says, "I don't know how we got into this mess"?
Yeah. So, we prepared for abandoning.
But Hurricane Sandy beat them to it. Just before dawn, a massive wave knocks her over.
People were pushed underwater. I was pushed underwater a couple of times by the mizzen rigging and assumed I was going to drown.
Because the question that underlies this whole story is, why did he do it? Why did the skipper sail into the storm? Now, I come from seafarers, and I've heard stories of my great-grandfather, who was a skipper of clippers and was a harbour master at Suva in Fiji. And in bad tropical cyclones and typhoons, he would sometimes volunteer to take a ship out to sea to save it when it would otherwise have wrecked on the wharf, because the wharf was quite exposed. So it's not an unknown thing for a skipper of a big old 3 or 4 master to say, "I shall take this ship to sea into the storm to save it." I think in the 21st century, it's a crazy thing to do. I would go straight to the hotel and bugger the ship.